Dr. Elias Thorne never expected to find himself in an alien prison. As he sat in his sterile cell surrounded by pulsating energy fields and strange, chittering sounds, he couldn't help but reflect on the irony of his situation. A xenobiologist specializing in theoretical alien ecosystems, he had spent his entire career imagining extraterrestrial life. Now he was living it, albeit not in the way he had hoped. The attack on the human colony of New Eden had been swift and merciless. Budget cuts had left the outpost vulnerable, its defense systems outdated and its garrison skeletal. When the Zeke-Thrak ships appeared in the sky, sleek and predatory, there was little the colonists could do but run. Elias had been caught trying to save his research data, a decision he now regretted as he faced the prospect of execution. It was on his third day of captivity that Elias first noticed XR7, the guard assigned to his cell block. Unlike the other Zeke-Thrak, whose exoskeletons were a uniform gunmetal gray, XR7's carapace had a faint, iridescent sheen, reminiscent of an oil slick on water. Its compound eyes seemed to linger on Elias longer than necessary, a hint of curiosity visible even through the alien's insectoid features. "You, human," XR7 clicked, its mandibles working in concert with the universal translator affixed to its thorax. "Why do you not cower like the others?" Elias shrugged, a gesture he wasn't sure the alien would understand. "What's the point? Fear won't change my situation." XR7's antennae twitched, a sign of interest. "Logical. Most species we encounter react with panic or aggression." "Well, I've spent my life studying alien life. I suppose this is just field work now," Elias said with a wry smile. That exchange marked the beginning of an unlikely friendship. Over the next few days, XR7 would linger near Elias's cell, engaging in what started as stilted conversation, but gradually evolved into a genuine cultural exchange. Elias learned that the Zeke-Thrak lived in vast hive cities, their society rigidly structured around a caste system determined by pheromone signatures at birth. XR7, he discovered, was considered a drone, a worker class responsible for menial tasks and basic security. In return, Elias shared stories of Earth's diverse ecosystems, of individual choice, and the concept of personal freedom. "You mean," XR7 clicked excitedly one day, "that humans can choose their function in society? They are not bound by their birth status?" Elias nodded. "For the most part, yes. We have the freedom to pursue our interests and change our paths in life." XR7's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with an emotion Elias couldn't quite identify. Fascinating and terrifying. As the days passed, their conversations deepened. They discussed philosophy, art. Elias was surprised to learn that the Zeke-Thrak had a rich tradition of vibrational poetry, and the mundane details of their daily lives. XR7 was particularly intrigued by the concept of hobbies. "You engage in activities solely for personal enjoyment with no benefit to the collective?" the alien asked, mandibles clicking rapidly in what Elias had come to recognize as excitement. "Absolutely," Elias replied. "I collect vintage books, for example, physical copies of stories from centuries ago." XR7's antennae quivered. I sometimes arrange the molecules in my food into pleasing patterns before consuming them. Is that similar?" Elias grinned. "That sounds like art to me, XR7. You're an artist." The alien's exoskeleton seemed to flush a deeper shade of iridescence. "I had never considered—" "Thank you, Elias Human." However, their growing friendship did not go unnoticed. Other guards began to cast suspicious glances at XR7, their antennae twitching in disapproval. One day, a higher-ranking Zeke-Thrak approached the cell. "XR7, it buzzed sternly. "Your prolonged interaction with the human specimen is noted and discouraged. Remember, it is to be terminated in 3 solar cycles, so stop playing with your human pet and get back to your duties, or I will have you on the cleanup crew for the sewers." As the higher-ranking Zeke-Thrak's words hung in the air, Elias felt a chill run through his body. 3 solar cycles, just 3 days until his execution. He looked at XR7, whose compound eyes seemed to dim with what Elias interpreted as sadness. That night, as the artificial lights of the prison dimmed to simulate nighttime, Elias lay awake, his mind racing. He had grown fond of XR7, and the thought of leaving the alien behind in this rigid, joyless society pained him. But more pressingly, he needed to find a way to escape. 2 cycles later, with mere hours left before his scheduled termination, Elias heard the soft click of XR7's approach. The energy field separating them flickered and died. "Elias, human," XR7 chittered softly. "I cannot allow your termination. It goes against something I cannot explain. We must leave. Now." Elias didn't hesitate. He stepped out of his cell, his legs wobbling slightly after days of confinement. "Thank you, XR7, but you know this means you can't go back, right?" The alien's antennae drooped slightly. "I am aware, but I find I am curious about your world. If you would have me, I wish to accompany you." As they made their way through the twisting corridors of the prison, alarms began to blare. They managed to reach a small hangar bay where XR7 quickly overrode the security on a sleek, dart-like ship. As they blasted away from the prison asteroid, Elias noticed a small, pulsing light on XR7's carapace. His heart sank. "XR7, I think they've tagged you with a tracker." The alien's mandibles clicked in distress. I did not know. What shall we do?" Elias smiled grimly. "I have an idea. Set a course for these coordinates." Hours later, they approached a desolate, crater-pocked moon. As they landed, Elias explained his plan. He had remembered an old emergency cache set up by human colonists years ago and long forgotten by the bureaucrats back on Earth. As expected, a Zika-Thrak battlecruiser appeared in orbit shortly after their arrival. Elias led XR7 to a hidden bunker, filled with an arsenal that would make any military envious. "Stay here," Elias instructed, donning a powered exosuit. "I'll handle this." What followed was a display of tactical brilliance that left XR7 in awe. Elias used the moon's low gravity and treacherous terrain to his advantage, luring the Zika-Thrak soldiers into carefully laid traps. Gravity mines, holographic decoys, and pinpoint-accurate sniper fire whittled down the alien force with ruthless efficiency. When it was over, Elias returned to the bunker, his exosuit scuffed but intact. XR7 regarded him with a new level of respect, and perhaps a touch of fear. "Elias, human." The alien clicked softly. "I had not realized your species was capable of such effectiveness." Elias sighed, removing his helmet. "It's not something I'm proud of, XR7, but sometimes survival requires unpleasant actions." As they stood in the bunker, surrounded by the remnants of the battle, Elias made a decision. He pulled out a data pad and brought up a star chart. "XR7, I'm giving you a choice," he said solemnly. "This is the real location of Earth. If you want, I'll input these coordinates into our ship and you can come with me. Experience all the freedom and diversity we've talked about." The alien's antennae twitched rapidly, processing this information. "Or," Elias continued, "I can remove your tracker and you can return to your people. Tell them I perished in the fight. Live out your life as you always have." XR7 was silent for a long moment, compound eyes shifting between Elias and the star chart. Finally, it spoke. "Elias, human. Elias, friend. I have lived my entire existence in a world of rigid structure and predetermination. You have shown me that there are other ways to be. I choose Earth. I choose freedom." Elias, with his hands on hips, smiling at XR7. "I am glad. Just a slight problem you see on Earth. You might be seen as bit unique, so when asked, just pretend to be a robot that I made and things will be all good. People on my home are easily convinced." XR7 slightly seeming confused by this. "You mean they will believe that?" "Sure. Humans like new technology and gadgets, so you will fit right in." XR7 nodded excitedly with his mandibles starting to drool and frantic antennae twitches. "I'm all in. Anything to come see your home world. Oh, and I want to try pizza. Surfing first." Elias agreed. "Good choice. Now let's get on this spaceship and get the heck out of here."